Today, we're talking about an upcoming game that caught my attention, a title from Clumsy Bear Studio called Hungry Horrors. It's a roguelite deck builder with a deliciously unique twist. Instead of slaying monsters, you feed them. So how does Hungry Horrors stand out in a sea of similar card-based roguelites? Let's dig in and find out. From the moment I launched the demo, I was seriously impressed. Even though it's just an early prototype, this game already looks and feels so polished. I mean, this is the kind of early build that gives you hope for a great final product. The hand-drawn pixel art style really sells the aesthetic. Everything from simple dialogue boxes to the flickering torches feels like it's part of a well thought out world. And the music, absolutely mesmerizing. Turns out it's an original soundtrack that perfectly sets the tone for this mythical, folklore-inspired adventure. Now, let's talk about one of my favorite characters, Lady Catherine. She's a black cat with some serious sass. You rescue her early on and she becomes your spiritual advisor, helping you on your quest to, well, feed the monsters. As you progress through the game, Lady Catherine doesn't just give out advice. She's got plenty of sarcastic remarks to keep you on your toes. Her quips add a fun layer of humor, and believe me, as you get further into the game, her commentary gets even more entertaining. Here's where Hungry Horrors takes a sharp turn from the usual deck building formula. Instead of stacking up damage dealing cards, you're crafting meals. Yup, you're making food to feed our monsters in the game, also known as the Horrors. Each meal card has its own set of stats, like flavor, satiety, cravings, and ingredients. For example, a Yorkshire pudding deals 6 satiety and triggers a sweet craving. The satiety is essentially the monster's hunger meter, and depending on the food's type, cravings, and that satiety, you might just clear out a cave with the right combo. The real trick to the game is figuring out which foods monsters love and which ones they hate. And trust me, it's not just about throwing random meals at them, it's all about that perfect meal combo to beat them in the most satisfying way. Are you going to stack up craving after craving after craving, or are you going to throw one powerful, loved meal at that monster to have them running for the hills? As you venture through each run, you collect more recipes, more ingredients, and more food cards. The deck building here feels fresh. Each card you add isn't just about raw damage, but it's making sure that the foods you craft fit your enemy's tastes. Making sure you have a complementary deck that lets you cycle through cravings and is balanced enough for all the monsters is absolutely paramount. Now let's turn our attention to the pros and cons. On the plus side, this game looks fantastic. The hand-drawn assets, the composed music, and a British folklore setting that gives it a very unique vibe. Additionally, it's really easy to learn, but it's hard to master, which is going to keep us coming back for more. There were a couple hiccups, however. I noticed occasional performance stutters, mainly during dialogue or when we were playing cards on a monster, but it was nothing game-breaking and it immediately fell to the back of my mind. There's also a slight issue with the game's speed controls, which affect more than just the combat and can make picking up items a bit tedious when playing on the higher speeds. Furthermore, there are some mechanics that aren't fully explained in the tutorial, things like our vendors, the sanctuaries, and curses. But if you're already familiar with roguelites, it's going to be very easy to pick up. To plate this review up, Hungry Horrors is a breath of fresh air in the roguelite deck building genre. It's got a great mix of strategy, humor, and unique mechanics that set it apart from the usual slay the monsters formula. The hand-drawn assets and custom music make the atmosphere feel more immersive than a lot of AAA games. And if you're looking for a fun, quick roguelite to burn an hour or two in, this one's definitely worth it. I'm really excited to see how this game evolves as it gets closer to its full release, so I hope you are too. Hungry Horrors is definitely one to keep an eye on, and I can't wait to dive back in when more content drops. If you want to take a look at this game and add it to your Steam wishlist, I'm adding the link to that in the description below, so be sure to go check that out.